We live.
Peace, peace, peace. This is D Miller L, aka SU Miller L, uh, co-founder of the Morbid Association. We're here with a review of Q1 and Q2 of the Morbid Exchange Bitcoin Expo. My co-founder is here with me also. Peace, brother.
What's good? It's brother Free, L Bay, the other half. All right, man. Let's get this review going, bro. So, what have we been doing with these expos, man? Like, what's up with this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. They're exhibitions, man. They're exhibitions.
Right on, right on.
Something like a demonstration, you know. Just think, what it was like. We'll say like back in the day, or even at modern times right now, where you might go to a venue where there are people. The venue is obviously hosted, but they're showing, demonstrating, exhibiting whatever is going on, whatever is the center of attention, and in this particular case, it is Bitcoin. So that's what we've been doing. We have been various, applicable angles, right? How to utilize the Bitcoin, how we are utilizing the Bitcoin, how others are utilizing the Bitcoin. You feel me?
Right. Because, like we said, this isn't like a lecture series or info on how to what I'm saying, get things done. This is more of a what I'm saying, demonstrate, bringing people on board who are already doing something. You know what I mean? This isn't the space where we're teaching people how to use Bitcoin. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not that. It's a demonstration. It's an exposition, like you said. So in lieu of that, you know what I mean, and that platform that the new platform that we've structured, because we were doing the educational side, with the Silk Road for free. We did that for free. Then we did a lot of interview series, and we did that for free with the House of the Moorish King. And then we also, started our crowdfund with the Blexit. So we did a lot of promo videos for that and just explaining our whole approach to how Bitcoin can solve the problems of the African diaspora. So this is the culmination of all of that, correct?
I would have to agree.
All right.
I would say that, again, just on a basic level, what we are attempting to do is still, like you said, in that old vein of advocating the use of it, but not in the way in which we used to, as you stated, from a teaching perspective and trying to show people, what's going on as far as current events and talking about those issues. We're kind of more dealing with it from, hey, so what are you guys' experiences? You know what I'm saying? What have you guys learned? You know what I'm saying? Are there ways that we can get together and work together? That's the focus with this.
Right. And then there's also the crowdfunding technique and just the outright support. So with this platform, we're able to bring in some finance as well as have a conversation at the same time. You know what I mean? I think that's the beauty of it, is that nothing's gonna go anywhere without finance. So with this platform, we just we went away from all the free stuff. Like I said, we did that for 2 years straight. We were giving away free content, free content, free content, and now we have to buckle down and get finance in here. So with this new platform, I think we got a lot of work to do still. I think on the expo, bringing better quality. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping constant guests on that are relevant in the field. You know what I mean? It's not an easy task. So we want to speak to that a little bit about how we're working that whole angle of keeping the content fresh.
Yeah, pardon my delay. Pardon my delay.
It's all good.
Yeah, I want to speak to that in a couple of different ways. So first thing I want to do is kind of speak to the idea of quality and, trying to extract resource or, whatever the case may be. I should say, really optimizing your resources. So what we've been demonstrating is optimizing our resources, right? Now, to one person, they may say, okay, you don't have a lot of resources. To another person, they may, you know, almost grovel at our feet at, you know, the kind of connections and the network that we currently have. You follow?
Right.
So it's almost like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. You see what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Now, that's not to say that we're not always looking to improve, right? Improvement and making oneself better, making a better version of oneself, that's the agenda.
Correct.
So now, how do we keep it fresh, or what are we doing, you know what I'm saying, to keep it fresh? I think the Expo itself is refreshing from what we have done previously. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's refreshing in that sense. I think that it's also refreshing to, you know, get a load of the various people that look like you and I that are in the space doing things that you and I wouldn't do.
Or
right,
yeah,
like
that
we haven't done it, or it's
doing.
not in our agenda per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry about that. No, I was saying, or even that we've talked about doing in the last 2 years. Some of the stuff that we didn't get to do that we talked about that we wanted to do, others are doing. Right?
Yes.
So what I think is interesting about the universe is how it's bringing that all together. You know what I mean? We put the intention out there, and maybe we might not have got that done, but somebody else is doing it already. And if you look at it from that perspective that we all are one, right? Then, you know, it's happening in the whole situation, and it's good to have those people in our sphere. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That's right. I think that this thing is awesome because of the fact that we're able to bring, you know, so many different types of our people together. You know what I mean? Like the coder community, the finance community, you know, all of it is being brought together under one roof to explore this cryptocurrency in its fullest form.
And I'm going to say exploit. Right?
Well, that's manipulate, all of that, you know, the proper terms.
Yeah. So
it's a tool.
You know, like you said, and not only that, man, you know, I think we should definitely speak to, you know, the goals, you know, of the Blexit, the goals of the Morbid Association and the Morbid Exchange. And, you know, the Blexit plays a major role in accomplishing the goals. You know, on a large level, on a, you know, the bigger picture, we want to unify and further empower our people. So the Blexit is doing that. You know what I'm saying? This Expo has been responsible for people getting on to Bitcoin for the very first time. It is responsible for people, and I should just say it's an enabler, if you will, right? It's not responsible. It's an enabler, right? The people themselves are the ones that are responsible. But the Expo, this thing that we have created, this venue that we have created, is an enabler, right? It's an enabler. So we're accomplishing, you know what I'm saying, that overall goal right there with each Expo. That's number one. You know, number two, like the idea was, we were saying, even on our very first show, we were saying, hey man, right now it's not catching on. It's not trending, right? As high as we would like it to, or at least the way that we feel about it, you know what I'm saying? Others don't see it, or the way that we think about it, others don't think about it. However,
looking for clear answers for your retirement plan? Start here.
You know what I'm saying? More people catch on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was breaking up a little bit.
Okay. Let me straighten out. So all I was saying was that as far as the goals, you know what I'm saying? The big goal, that's happening with each Expo. Right? And then when we get down to the nitty-gritty goals, right, of the association versus the exchange, that's expanding as well. With each Expo, the exchange gets larger, right? We're talking about the number of people holding Bitcoin, trading Bitcoin, buying and selling Bitcoin, that gets larger. You know what I'm saying? Which is basically increasing the capital of the community, right? The amount of resources that we have. This is our goals. These are a part of our goals. And the same thing can be said about the association. The more people that are associated just with Bitcoin, not even the NBA, our goal is expanding, right? Our goals are being accomplished, and essentially what we are trying to accomplish is expanding. So I don't know if you have any comments on the goals.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's bringing all of this together. At the end of the day, we set out to have an exit, an economic exit from the United States monetary system, right? That's the goal of this. And it's happening, like you said, it's being enabled through our platform, and it's being enabled through, just the ethers in the universe of everyone just gravitating towards this Bitcoin. One of the things I think was great that was said in the Expo is that I think Justin said this. He said, we're all drawn to Bitcoin because of its decentralized model. And what decentralization means for us as the African diaspora, we're already decentralized as a people, right? We're all spread across the world, you know what I mean? So this format, this model allows us to fully come into ourselves using this model. We're able to take our economic, power and put it and fund it and channel it where we want to fund it without censorship. And I think that's the biggest goal of the Blexit, is to have that happen and have, businesses, enterprise, all of this take place in a decentralized manner, and have it help the African diaspora become what it should be, and not be a diaspora anymore, and be an African centered powerhouse, you know what I'm saying? Descendants of those, So, yeah. All right, so we got all of the goals taken care of. We've talked about the first and second Expo and what that was meant to us and what they've accomplished. I want to do a overview of the whole thing, of just talking about what's going on in Bitcoin right now. So, the ETF has been the big thing, right? After, the Securities and Exchange Commission ruled that the official, exchange fund for Bitcoin wouldn't be able to be settled. They said, okay, we're going to back off for a while, but it might not be completely dead. It might be something like the government wants to see that it can utilize this and make it something that they can, manipulate. Like we were talking about earlier, manipulation on a level that allows them greater control. And right now with the Winklevoss twins, have put up, didn't have as much control as they would like to have seen. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I don't know, man. When I look at it, I see something basic. I see the old concept of square peg, round hole. So as much as, the Winklevoss twins were trying to conform, right, and make the Bitcoin conform, it was going to be an issue, in my opinion, from the very beginning. You have a square peg trying to fit into a round hole.
Right. Decentralization meets centralization,
Basically, you know what I mean?
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
That's my thought. It wasn't really gonna work. It wasn't really gonna work. They could make it. They could try. We do have Coinbase. They can do something.
Yeah. That's basically what I see, is that there's gonna be the government's finally gonna get its full hold on Bitcoin, right? But it's still so decentralized that even though if the governments have control over it, you can still use it without the government's permission at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So there's going to be a whole bunch of people who are afraid of risk, who want this ETF thing to happen. You see what I'm saying? And that's fine. They need their lane. You know what I mean? The Uber traders and all that, they need their lane. And if they don't feel safe, without the government nanny helping them trade and everything like that, so be it, you know. And there's the people like us who are like, nah, we don't need any of that, you know. We're just building trust based on the people that we deal with, you know what I mean, and the companies that are starting from what we're dealing with. We're not really.
That's the important part.
Yeah.
That's it right there. It's because you have these entities that are trying to become, you know, that too big to fail.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like they're trying to become it. You know, and that's when, you know, you have all these kind of situations where we're worried about extra protectionism and all this kind of thing for the consumer. Like you said, because we are looking to be as independent as possible, because we are looking to develop authentic relationships, we tend not to have a need for this this overseer. You know what I mean? Because we're not going to engage in certain kinds of activities. Listen, when your greed gets the best of you, that's when you're going to need to be able to go and run and tell somebody that, oh, you know, because of my greed, I got my hand slammed in the cookie jar. You know what I mean? Like, it's your greed that led to that. You know what I mean? It's something that's more, needs to be self-directed as opposed to having an overseer try to remedy the situation. That's just, I don't know. I think that's how you and I think about it. And that just comes from having that pioneer spirit, in my opinion. You know, when you don't have that, and you have to rely on wits, and you have to rely on will, and you have to rely on just, you know, character. You know what I'm saying? It's a different dynamic than a person who is not living that type of lifestyle.
Well, that's why. Okay, so that's why our government exists in the form it exists in today, is because people don't have honor when they don't have merit when they're doing business with each other. So they need a third party to, you know, take them to court or take someone to jail, you know, if they're being, you know, done wrong, and then, you know, find the way that if they can create a loophole or exploit or manipulate a loophole to keep themselves out of jail, but still continue to perpetrate a fraud at the same time. So it's a double-edged sword with the system. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, we talked about this at the Expo.
Right.
You know, we were talking about, you know, the nature of the human side of the Blexit, right? The relationship side of the Blexit. You know what I'm saying? You have this codependency. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like a codependency to a narcissist, you know? You have to be very, very cautious about the one who is being abused, not just the abuser. That's the narcissist, the abuser. But the one who is being abused is sometimes a covert, you know what I'm saying, narcissist on low key. You know what I'm saying? They only exist based upon the abuse. And they're kind of feeding off of the abuse themselves, you know what I'm saying? To play that victim role kind of generates a high in the victim. You know what I'm saying? When they receive all of that, you know what I'm saying, sympathy and all of this kind of stuff, it gives them the attention that they're seeking. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Right.
And that's the whole thing. We're not with that. We're not with that.
Okay,
we're not with the attention seeking. Go ahead.
So I want to move on to the scaling issue within Bitcoin. Everyone, you know, up in the air about whether it's going to be Bitcoin Unlimited or the SegWig. You know what I'm saying? Segregated witness, for those who don't understand the terminology. There's issues right now amongst, you know, major sects or groups within the Bitcoin core development and finance community that want to see the Bitcoin blockchain go in a certain direction because they feel that it could benefit them, and they're trying to pull everyone else into the conversation when Bitcoin is doing what it's doing already. You know what I mean? And I agree that there's room for improvement to handle the transaction volume and everything like that, but the alternatives that are being presented are just way too centralized in nature. You get what I'm saying? They're coming from these specific groups that have interests within the Bitcoin space. and whether their interest is for the greater good of the Bitcoin community, that is remains to be seen. You see what I'm saying? So it's like
You got it.
It's its own governance that we're dealing with now, and who is going to become the president of Bitcoin, the benevolent dictator, as some articles are calling for. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like, so.
That, listen, man. Yeah, it's a perfect segue. So we're talking about people in their desire for control, right? Which is kind of like a mental condition, or at least a state of immaturity, right? You and I know, especially as you more mature and you become more aware, control is a illusion. You know what I'm saying? It's fleeting. You have to learn how to kind of let go a little bit. You have to kind of learn how to relax a little bit, right, and not get so wound up. But what I see, is genuinely what we've seen in this space, since we've been in this space. You have these open debates, you have these open arguments about the direction of the technology. And, I just think that a lot of people get confused. They start to believe the hype. There's this hype around this character named Roger Ver. He has a nickname, and I don't know if it's gotten to his head or not, but the nickname is Bitcoin Jesus, right? Now, if, let's just suppose that maybe, he's kind of adopted this in his mind, it may explain a couple of things, but at the same time, there are groups of people. It's not just a single individual, right? There is a group that is associated with this Bitcoin Unlimited as well. And hey, like I said, I believe, man, anybody can make an altcoin. They have the right to make an altcoin and do with it and make it do whatever they want it to do, Right. It's like any of these other projects. I don't have any issues with any of these other projects. Now, where it starts to get interesting, and I think this is why, tempers are starting to flare, is because it appears that this particular altcoin is trying to take the name, of the original, right? Like, and it's a sleight of hand, if you will. It's just basically in the name of the website, in the web domain, you know what I mean? Bitcoin.com. If you were to go to Bitcoin.com, it's going to be associated with Bitcoin Unlimited. And this could cause confusion with the general masses. So I definitely understand that concept. That is, if I have any issue, that would be the issue. But at the same time, I don't really have an issue because I think that it will become obvious that it is an altcoin as opposed to the real thing.
All right. So now let's talk a little bit about the MBX, because since that was brought up during the Expo as well. So we were talking about, consultations and people being compensated for, explaining things to people, you know what I mean? Because like I said, we've done this for 2 years, and if you can't go find our videos, then we have to charge now to talk to people, because it's gotten to the point where, some people don't take the information that we're telling them seriously, and then they come back a year later and they're like, oh man, I wish I would have listened to you and everything like that. Well, you know what? If you would have paid $5 for the time, you would have listened then and you would have got it done. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be coming back to me later on saying this. So I think that's an interesting thing about the whole, when you started off Miller L Consultants and how that was wrapped into everything that we're doing with the MBX. Our major marketing and enterprise to sell Bitcoin, locally and online as much as possible. So all these different things that we're doing with the MBX. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, the MBX, man, is a platform unlike any, as far as the ones that currently exist in our communities. It is the first of its kind in terms of decentralized. First and foremost, just to make it real simple, basically the MBX is a group, if you will, and the goal is to have 10,000. But it is a group of traders, those that have Bitcoin, buy and sell Bitcoin, and are basically the gateway of the community to get into here, to Blexit, right? They represent the gate for the greater masses of our people, right, of the diaspora to actually migrate, right? How are they going to actually make this exit, right? You got to have a door. So the MBX as an umbrella is the door, right? The Blexit is how it is that we're kind of exhibiting what it looks like on the other side. Like when you look at us, you know, through this medium called the internet, what you're looking at are people that basically live in an alternate reality, if you will, right? The way in which we think, the way in which we're attempting to operate, this is unlikely to these people, right? It is improbable, it's impossible, it's unlikely. You follow?
Indeed, indeed.
But it does exist.
Right.
Right. So that's what this is. You know, we have brothers out here that literally are starting to, you know what I mean, supplement their income. Right. Maybe they've been, you know, working for dollars. They have a job or whatever the case may be. And now they're starting to find out that there are many ways to skin this cat, i.e. there are many ways to monetize Bitcoin. And that's what the MBX is all about. On a basic level, however, and if you are interested, definitely reach out and we can definitely show you how to get this thing started. It is not a multi-level marketing scheme. This is not something where you pay off some kind of monies to the group or, you know, some residual payments. No, this is you as an independent operator, owner and operator.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, bro, is getting people to understand it's not a multi-level marketing thing, because, you know, it's like when you privately contract, you know, and when you have to spend your money on your own tools, you know what I mean? You have to spend your money on your own, like, transportation and stuff like that, and you get, you know, you don't pay all your taxes up front. You pay them one time at the end of the year. So this is getting people to think in that different light of, you know, in the entrepreneurial spirit, you know what I mean? Is to get them to understand that, you know, that you're going to have to put up some money, but it's not, you know what I mean, like that type of situation where, you know, you're coming up under someone and you have to pay us, you know what I mean? You have to put up your own amount to invest in Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Now, whether you buy that initial Bitcoin from us is a different story, but that's what we're also offering. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's beautiful in that retrospect that if anyone's worried about, well, I wonder if they're money hungry and if they're trying, we just built a system that allows us to get paid and allows other people to get paid without there being that whole, you know, you have to go through us to get paid. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're just an option. You know?
It speaks to the meme. It speaks to race, resource acquisition, i.e. Bitcoin. We are acquiring Bitcoin. That is our MO. Get more Bitcoin. That should be your MO. Get more Bitcoin. Next, cooperative economics. Work with others, exchange with others, right? Build a community, right, of people that are doing business together, that are cooperating economically, whether it's in the form of a crowd fund, whether it's in the form of patronizing a business, right? Whether it's in the form of employing others. The idea here is cooperative economics, not multi-level marketing, cooperative economics. That's the key.
Right. I mean, so yeah, with that being said, you know, there's only two more things I wanted to bring up, and it was based off the, you know, the proof of work upgrade to the Bitcoin algorithm and the alternate mining script that was created by BTC.com. Going off script from what Satoshi put in play, right? And we talked about this earlier with the scaling issue, and, you know, there were people wanting to break away from what Satoshi initially put together. I think it's called evolution. It has to happen. You know what I mean? This thing was made back in 2008, 2009. It was a different world that Satoshi was building this for. the world that it's changed to become already in these last 7-8 years is already different than what he was working with back then. So Bitcoin has to change in order to meet the times. And when he first created the script, only core developers understood what was even going on. You know what I mean? It wasn't seamless and easy to understand. It's still not easy for people to understand, you know? So the evolution of living off script, you know, going off the beaten path that Satoshi set in play, you know what I mean? It has to happen. And I'm kudos to anyone who's able to develop and, you know, code on top of that. I've undertaken that task a lot, and it's not easy. You know what I mean? Going through Python, going through Java, going through all of the different coding, C++, you know, all of the different coding formats, and trying to build something on top of the Bitcoin protocol. It's not an easy task. With that being said, I think we pretty much covered everything, bro. So, anything last comments you got?
You know, just to say iteration, right? Iteration 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. It's real. Expect it. We should be doing that as people. We should be trying to improve ourselves. You know, I bring up the people part, man, for a very important reason. It's a community. Is a community. You have to think about it like human health. You have to think about it like the health of humanity. So iterations just really represent improvement. To constantly improve, and we should definitely be trying to constantly improve upon the Bitcoin if at all possible. So that's my take on that.
All right, so we got the next Q3 coming up, summer solstice. Everyone be looking out for that. Everyone should be watching this on CX3 Media. So that's the new platform that we have just for presenting material. You know, sometimes we'll stream from the MBX, sometimes we'll stream from CX Media, depending on the event. You know, definitely be looking out for everything that's going to be coming out within the next few months. Try to, you know, schedule in with us if you need to get presentations done, if you need artwork done, anything like that. Over here, that's what this is about. Getting this spread. You know, it's not just about Bitcoin; it's also about just enterprise in general. So those are the key things to focus on in the next few months, leading us into the third quarter Expo. All right, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right, peace.
Peace, fam.
All right, we're done recording.